Today on the deep dive, we're really going to get into Laser Photonics Q1 2025 results.
Yeah, and it's quite a story. Explosive growth, some interesting strategic moves.
Definitely. What we found is, well, a compelling picture of that growth, but it seems driven by some pretty unexpected applications and maybe a few calculated risks in there too.
Calculated risk, exactly.
So our mission here, for you listening, is to unpack this first quarter for Laser Photonics. They're really forging new paths in industrial tech.
Absolutely. We need to look at the numbers, sure, but also the strategy behind them.
And I think most importantly, uncover these surprising real-world uses for their lasers, stuff that's actually changing how industries work.
And just to be clear, all this insight, it's coming straight from their latest earnings report, their press releases. Reliable stuff.
Right. And, from the get-go, there's this big signal. A huge jump in revenue. Seems like a key acquisition played a big part.
That CMS acquisition, yeah.
So the big question, I guess, is how did Laser Photonics manage this kind of, explosive growth while they're also in what they call an ambitious investment phase?
Right. Spending money while trying to grow rapidly. It's a balancing act.
Let's pull back the curtain then. Look at the numbers telling this high-stakes story.
Okay.
The headline figure, it's really something. Q1 2025, they saw a 208% year-over-year revenue surge.
208%. Wow.
Yeah, pushing their total revenue to $2.3 million for the quarter. That's a strong signal from the market.
It really is. And what's truly illuminating there is that kind of growth, at 208%, it suggests they've hit some kind of critical point.
An inflection point.
Yeah, exactly. Where demand is maybe outstripping their initial capacity. It's strong validation for their product fitting the market need.
Especially when you hear the CEO, Wayne Tupuola, talk about it.
Right. He directly links this success, like you said, to that Control Microsystems CMS acquisition and their aggressive push into multiple sectors.
He sounds pretty excited about it.
He does. He's clearly seeing their, expanded capabilities clicking with customers who need these advanced laser solutions.
Okay, so it sounds like they're really capturing momentum. But with that kind of aggressive growth, what's happening on the bottom line? Is it profitable growth?
Well, that's where the strategic nuance comes in, doesn't it? Even as they expand like crazy, the company seems very focused on fiscal discipline. They've started cost-cutting measures, trying to slice $2 million gross off their annualized run rate expenses.
So it's not just growth at any cost.
No, definitely not. It seems like a dual focus.
Yeah.
Grab market share, yes, but also tighten the operational belt at the same time.
Interesting.
And their CFO, Carlos Sardinas, he added some context to these Q1 results.
What did he say?
He sees them as basically successful progress on integrating CMS and capitalizing on the new revenue streams it created.
Right, leveraging that acquisition.
Exactly. And Sardinas made this really insightful point, saying the company is squarely in an investment phase.
Okay, investment phase. What does that mean in practice?
It means they're deliberately pouring resources, cash into expansion right now, trying to capture what they see as significant market potential down the road.
Even if it hurts profits in the short term.
Precisely. Even if it impacts short-term profitability. But he stressed they're still focused on improving operational efficiency and finding that path to sustainable profitability.
So it's that classic kind of high-stakes balancing act, growth versus profit.
Textbook. A high-wire act, really.
Okay. For those of you who like the nitty-gritty details, the unaudited financials are, pretty fascinating.
Let's hear them.
Net sales for Q1 2025 hit $2,290,282. That's a huge leap from $742,991 in Q1 last year.
Big jump. And gross profit.
Follow the trend.
Yeah.
$11,139,766 in Q1 2025 compared to just $385,868 the year before. So making more on each sale, roughly.
Good margin improvement there.
But, and this is the other side of the coin, the financial picture isn't all sunshine.
The investment phase impact.
Exactly. Beyond that top-line revenue, they reported an operating loss of $1,572,575 in Q1 25.
Okay, and how does that compare?
It's wider than the $548,469 loss they had in Q1 24.
So costs are rising faster than gross profit right now.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
It indicates that while sales are booming, the sort of day-to-day costs running the business, integrating CMS, fueling that expansion, they're still outpacing the revenue coming in.
Which naturally leads to a bigger net loss.
Yep. a net loss of $1,680,723 in Q1 25, compared to about $545,709 loss in Q1 24. And the loss per share reflects that. It's now threatened 12 cents, up from 6 cents year over year.
Okay, so if we connect this back to the bigger picture, these wider losses, they actually fit perfectly with what the CFO said.
About the investment phase.
Right. This isn't necessarily, a five-alarm fire. It looked more like a deliberate strategy. They're spending heavily now.
Betting big on the future.
Betting big. Pouring money into R&D, market expansion, getting that CMS acquisition fully humming. They're aiming for future market dominance, it seems.
Makes sense. What about their cash situation? That kind of spending must burn through cash.
It does. And their cash position, just under $180,000 as of March 31st, well, it really highlights the tightrope they're walking.
That's not a lot of cushion.
No. They used $11,157,220 in cash just for operating activities in Q1 alone.
Wow. So how are they funding this?
Well, shrewdly it seems. They used debt. They borrowed $825,000 in financing activities during the quarter.
Ah, okay. Bridging the gap.
Exactly. Bridging that gap to fuel the expansion. It's, a common tactic in these high growth phases. High leverage.
But risky if things don't pan out.
Very risky. It demands really strong execution down the line to justify that investment and pay back the debt.
Okay. So this deep dive into the financials, it paints this picture of a company investing heavily, maybe aggressively, in its future.
It seems clear.
But to really get why they're doing this and why there's excitement despite the losses, we need to look past the balance sheet.
To the actual technology in action.
Right. The real-world applications. Because some of these are quite literally reshaping industries.
That Control Microsystems acquisition, the one we keep mentioning.
Yeah.
Its impact is already being felt, driving new orders across a really diverse range of uses.
Okay, like what? Let's start with defense tech. That seems like a strong area for them.
It does. They're showing remarkable success there. They got a repeat order for their defense tech MRLS portable finishing laser.
The DTMF 1020.
That's the one. It's basically their tough, military-grade, handheld laser cleaning system.
And who ordered it?
This order came through their distribution partner, Incredible Supply and Logistics, ISL. It really validates the system's reliability, its effectiveness for critical naval maintenance.
Okay, repeat orders are always a good sign.
Yeah.
But what really jumped out at me was how else they're deploying this tech in some really unexpected ways.
You mean the Boston Engineering Partnership?
Yes. Tell us about that and what they did at Pearl Harbor. It sounds genuinely revolutionary.
It really is, potentially. And it tackles a absolutely colossal problem for the Navy.
Okay.
This partnership demonstrated these laser cleaning-enabled robotic crawlers right there at the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard.
Robotic laser cleaners.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is the direct target. The U.S. Navy's massive $23 billion annual corrosion challenge.
$23 billion a year on rust.
Billion, with a B. Rust and degradation cost the Navy that much every single year. These robotic laser cleaners, they could completely transform how the Navy does maintenance, repair, and overhaul MRO.
How so?
Making it faster, more efficient, definitely safer for personnel, and ultimately way more cost-effective. It could be a game changer for keeping ships ready and lasting longer.
Wow. $23 billion. That's almost hard to wrap your head around, just lost to rust.
It's immense.
And it's not just defense, right? Their clean tech industrial side seems to be expanding too.
Absolutely. The implications there are equally profound, just in different sectors.
They got their fourth clean tech system order from Acuren.
Right, Acuren. They're a big player in asset protection services. And they also got repeat orders from Bruce Power.
Bruce Power? That's the nuclear plant, isn't it?
The biggest operational nuclear power plant in North America, yes.
Oh.
They ordered additional CleanTech 500 CTHD laser cleaning systems.
Using lasers in a nuclear power plant, that sounds delicate.
It underscores the huge safety and environmental advantages, though, especially in critical infrastructure like that.
How so? Better than traditional methods.
Oh, definitely. Traditional methods often mean, sandblasting, abrasives, harsh chemicals, stuff that creates hazardous waste or puts workers at risk.
Right.
Lasers offer a much cleaner, incredibly precise, and inherently safer way to decontaminate and maintain vital components. Minimizing risk in these really sensitive environments is key.
Makes sense. Okay, and finally, let's touch on medical and precision manufacturing. This seems to be where that CMS acquisition really shines.
It does. They're getting significant traction in some highly specialized areas here.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, get this. A major global dental implant provider. They ordered robotic feed systems specifically designed for marking dental drill bits. with lasers.
Marking tiny drill bits. The precision must be incredible.
Exactly. Think about the micro precision needed for that. And another one, a leading U.S. maker of high-performance bicycles ordered advanced laser engraving systems too.
So bikes and teeth, it's quite a range.
It really highlights CMS's, technological edge in these incredibly precise high-value applications.
And integrating CMS wasn't just about adding products then.
No, not at all. It strategically expands laser photonics' addressable markets way beyond just heavy industrial cleaning. Now they're playing in medical devices, precision consumer goods.
It's a fundamental shift, really, moving up the value chain.
Absolutely. A big strategic move.
Okay, so with all this innovation, this expansion, what's the bigger picture? What's the vision and outlook for laser photonics going forward?
Well, first, I think it's worth just quickly restating their core identity. They're not just assembling parts. They're a vertically integrated manufacturer and an R&D center of excellence for industrial laser tech and systems. They develop the core technologies themselves.
And their mission is pretty bold.
Undeniably ambitious, yeah. To fundamentally disrupt those centuries-old sand and abrasive blasting markets.
Which are huge, right?
Massive. Currently valued at something like $46 billion.
Yeah.
And they're laser-focused, pardon the pun, on key applications.
Like surface cleaning.
Rust removal, corrosion control, depainting, and, other laser-based industrial uses.
And the problem they solve is huge, too. You mentioned safety before.
Immense. Their new generation of laser blasting tech, it directly tackles all those health, safety, environmental, and regulatory headaches that come with the old methods.
Less dust, less chemical waste.
Exactly. Think about the reduction in airborne particles, chemical sludge, and the huge improvement in worker safety. It's a big deal.
And this approach seems to be building their reputation.
It has. It's cemented their reputation as an industry leader in industrial laser systems. They're known for quality, technology, and product innovation.
And big companies are using their stuff.
Oh, yeah. Fortune 1000 manufacturers across aviation, aerospace, automotive, defense, energy, maritime, nuclear, even space exploration.
Wow.
They've clearly broken into some of the most critical, most demanding industries in the world.
Okay, so looking immediately ahead then, what about Q2 2025? What are they expecting?
They expect to keep the momentum going. Strong momentum into Q2. They anticipate year-over-year revenue growth, building on the $0.7 million they reported back in Q2 2024.
So continued growth expected. And what about those costs we talked about?
Right, those cost-cutting initiatives. They say they're actively taking steps to reduce costs.
Yeah.
Primarily through, headcount reductions and lower marketing spend. They're aiming for that gross annualized run rate reduction of $2 million we mentioned earlier.
So it shows they're serious about balancing that growth push with getting costs under control, following the CFO's plan.
It's exactly. Balancing aggressive growth with that clear path to profitability. It seems to be the core strategy right now.
Okay, so let's try to sum this all up for you, the listener. What does this all mean?
Well, we've basically explored a company that's seeing really significant revenue growth, right? Propelled largely by strategic buys, like CMS, and pushing hard into multiple sectors.
And they're demonstrating some genuinely innovative practical applications for their tech.
Yeah, from tackling the Navy's enormous rust problem with robots.
To enabling ultra-precision in things like marking tiny dental drill bits. Really specific stuff.
And all this is happening while they are, admittedly, navigating this crucial investment phase.
Spending now, aiming squarely at achieving that long-term sustainable profitability later.
It's complex, definitely high stakes,
Yeah.
but it seems like a clearly defined strategy.
All right, and here's maybe a final provocative thought for you to chew on as we wrap up. Consider how these very specific laser applications, fixing the Navy's $23 billion corrosion issue with robotic crawlers, or engraving microscopic dental drill bits, how they show the diverse, sometimes really surprising ways that advanced tech is changing traditional industries.
Yeah, industries you wouldn't immediately associate with cutting-edge lasers.
Exactly. So the question is, what other seemingly impossible problems, maybe in totally unrelated sectors, could laser technology be uniquely positioned to solve next?
What other industries could be completely transformed in ways we haven't even thought of yet?
Something to think about.